Oh, thank you.
I hit
This,
record. There we go. Now we're recording. We
yes,
are
this
cooking with
meeting is
grease.
being recorded and will be provided to you in the event that you need it to for refresher. Next, please. All right, so I've created an agenda to kind of go through everything that we will be covering, the grant contract that was awarded, the FY grant offerings that we have coming up currently, the scopes of services and deliverables on the current grant contract, the term of the contract, the payment terms and condition, standard terms and conditions, special terms and condition. A few examples we'll be able to show you, and then Nicole will go through the GMS portion. Again, this grant is the Planning Assistant Contract Grant, Tennessee Code Annotated TCA Section 68-211-821, which is available through the Solid Waste Management Fund, which was established by 68-211-821, which states that the department shall offer annual planning maintenance grants to develop districts in order to assist such districts in revising data, maintaining district needs assessments, and assisting counties within the district, and planning assistant grants to each county or solid waste region in order to assist such counties or region in developing, revising, and maintaining regional plans required by TCA 68-211-814. Next, please. Currently, we have the following grant offerings: recycling equipment, which goes with the recycling rebates, along with the HHW. Next,
And those
please.
will open in September.
Thank you, Nico. Next, please. All right, so section A of the scopes of services and deliverables covers Title VI certification, which should be completed within the first 30 days, but not before the pre-implementation meeting, as the pre-implementation meeting should occur before all others, as no work on the grant contract can be done. I hate this word. Permissible exceptions. This should be altered if necessary. The grantee shall request in writing, signed, and upon appropriate letterhead to revise dates relative to the project timeline due to unforeseen circumstances. Something to keep in mind is if anything is going to be required to be changed in section A of the scopes and services and deliverables of the grant contract, it will not be a permissible exception. It will have to be an amendment request because we are not authorized to make any changes in section A without it being an amendment. Next, please. Qualified Tennessee assistance, which is A5, the grantee shall provide a qualified, state-certified representative knowledgeable about solid waste and materials management systems and shall provide quality technical assistance on approved projects to support local governments within their district. Next, please. A6 covers planning and installation of the grant contract. The grantee shall perform all subsequent tasks consistent with the contract. Completion of the project shall be submitted by the department or by December 31st, 2024. Within planning and installation, there are three tasks: the project planning, the development phase, and the delivery and approval phase. These three tasks all fall under the technical. So just to keep in mind that if you have any questions, you can use the raise hand feature real quick, and someone technical or someone from technical will jump on to answer. But task one is the project planning, a minimum of one special focus meeting within 60 days of the contract execution. The grantee will conduct surveys via a variety of media throughout contract term. Will conduct a minimum of one public input workshop with state approval separate from special focus meeting, and facilitate the public input workshops, record and take minutes for proceeding. The minutes should be provided within 2 weeks of that meeting to the state via GMS. Next, please. The development phase. The grantee shall develop and present a solid waste plan draft document for state written approval. Please keep in mind this is the draft. There is no 50%, 30%, or 70%. There's just a draft and a final. At a minimum, solid waste plan should include all required TCA, and I won't call out all those TCA codes. We can see them. The grantee shall attend a minimum of one virtual meeting with the state. The deadline portion for this is August 1st, 2024. Delivery and approval phase, which is the third task under scope, section A. The grantee shall develop and present a solid waste plan final document for the state written approval. Final plan submission via GMS shall be accompanied by board approval of the entity of whom this plan serves. Grantee shall take all steps necessary to add to, delete from, or otherwise edit document until final approval. Failure to adhere to the dates may result in noncompliance as indicated in TCA 68-211-816. Final deliverables, the grantee shall deliver the digital print ready version of the final plan via GMS, and the deadline for this phase is October 1st, 2024. Section A7 just covers incorporated of additional documents, grant contract documents with any attachments, which is the application, manual, and if we had a work plan, etc. Next. Section B is the term of the contract. This covers or provides a summary of the grant lifespan. The grant lifespan execution date was July 1st, and the end date of this contract is December 31st, 2024. B2 covers the terms of the contract. If state may extend the term of additional period of time not to exceed 180 days beyond the expiration date of the grant contract. Please keep in mind that if you need an extension, that also needs to be in writing on proper letterhead. And hopefully get it in as soon as, if needed, like you realize that it's needed. Do not wait till last minute, as extensions, we don't process those, and if there's not enough time left on the grant, we'll get a denial response, and we work very hard trying not to get those. Next slide, please. Section C covers payment terms and condition. This provides a summary of the standard state grant contract language relative to payments, invoices, reimbursement, etc. C1 talks about maximum liability. C2, compensation firm. C3, payment methodology. C4, travel compensation. C5, invoice requirements. And what makes up an invoice? For the state of Tennessee, they have basic requirements for an invoice. In order for it to be an invoice, it must have the word invoice. It must have an invoice number, a date, a remit address, a breakdown if the item is more than one, and a grand total. You could have more, but anything less than that, they do not consider an invoice, and we would have to send it back and request for what the state considers an invoice. Payment should be submitted no more than once monthly. Shall be provided to the state at the reference location, but shall be submitted through the GMS online portal. The state shall not accept any request of grant reimbursement in any other format. Next slide, please. Payment terms continued. C6 covered budget line items. C7, disbursement, reconciliation, and closeout, which is the final invoice and grant disbursement reconciliation report. This is due 60 days from the grant contract end date. And all this is saying is once the contract is ended, if you have not completed your final reimbursement request, you have 60 days from that date to have it in GMS. Other than that, if you 61 days, there's no way possible we could process it. Indirect costs, cost allocation, which is not applicable to this grant contract, payment of invoice, and non-allowable cost. C12 covers states' right to sell off. C13, prerequisite documentation. This is a direct deposit form, which is the ACH form, along with the W-9 form. The ACH form is an F&A form, and they are very specific and have the instructions at the top hand right corner of the form. Anything less than that, they will not accept. They will not accept it from us hand carrying the form to them. So they're very specific. If this hasn't been completed, please ensure that they are completed before reimbursement requests is submitted, as we will not be able to process. Next slide, please. Section D is the standard terms and conditions of the grant contract. This provides a summary of the standard state grant contract language related to amending the contract, subcontracting, contacts, managing the grant, and its records, etc. D1, required approval. D2, modification of amendment. The D3, termination for convenience. Next slide, please. And I'll let y'all read those on y'all own and more in depth on the grant contract itself. D4, termination for cause. D5, subcontracting requirements. D6, conflicts of interest. D7, lobbying. D8, communication and contacts. Please submit updates to this section if applicable immediately. If there's anyone else that needs to be involved in this grant contract that we need to be in communication with or give them access via GMS, we need to know immediately. D9 is subject to funds availability. D10, non-discrimination. D11, HIPAA compliance. D12, public accountability. D13, public notice, etc., etc. More etceteras. I'll just leave that up for a little bit. Oh, D is very long. D25 is the Tennessee Department of Revenue registration. D26, charges to services recipients prohibited. No acquisition of equipment or motor vehicles, which covers D27. And all that says is that this grant contract does not authorize equipment. State and federal compliance, governing law, etc. Special terms and special terms and conditions. This is section E, and it provides the contingency terms determined by the program as it applies to the individual grants contract. E1 and E2, which is the conflicts in terms and condition, and E2, transfer of the grantee's obligation. Here are some examples of a few things in the grant itself. Here's what the signature block look like. The signature should be above the line that says granted signature. There should be a date, and below that, the name of the person should be printed and their title should be listed as well. All 4 things must be there for it to be considered fully signed. Next, please. Example of attachment 1, page 1, and this is the grant budget breakdown. According to this just shows where the money is on what line. It shows what the grant contract is for. If there was a match, there would be something there. Total project amount and grand total at the bottom. Next, please. Example of attachment 1, page 2. This page provides a breakdown of the summary, which is attachment 1, page 1. And Nicole will take over from here.
All right, so that was the finishing of the contract and what is on it. Now I'll just go through the grants management system. I know you are familiar with it. So if you have any questions, just stop me and let me know. I know you're registered in GMS, so I won't tell you how to do that. On your home page, you can see the procurement guidelines, change password. The password does update every 90 days. So if you get locked out, just notify us and we can get that changed for you. My applications and requires attention. Here on your home screen, you can find all of your active and progress applications. Requires attentions are for the activities that need submitting for Title VI, reimbursement requests, any of that sort. There will be one occasionally, like if you submit a reimbursement request and say we need some revisions on it, we will send it back to you and it will say revisions requested. It does have a timeline to that. Normally it's 7 days. So if you ever see the revisions requested, just know that there is a time frame for that. On the home screen of your grant, you can see the purpose and overview, the timeline eligibility, and you can scroll forth on your right-hand side. It will just give you all the tabs that you need for your grant contract. The ones that are pretty resourceful during your contract are highlighted in red. Authorization contract. There is an executed contract uploaded under the contract tab. If for reason you lose it in your emails or files, you can go to the contract tab and find it there. Reimbursements and current documents. Under the GMS activities, this is where you will find the Title VI, budget acceptance, and theirs. You do not have to worry about the Title VI pre-audit. This is something that we complete on our end. The Title VI training certification, this has to be completed within 30 days of the contract execution. What we are needing from this is the training form and 2 forms of training certifications, one from the signature of financial and a technical staff. When you open the training certification, you can see that here. There is the link to our TDEC Title VI training. If you do not do TDEC, I know TDOT also has a similar training course. If you have any questions about Title VI, Rachel Maitland is our Title VI coordinator, and you can reach out to her and then just include the grant administration staff on the communication so we know that you're having issues or troubles, and we can assist you also. Budget revisions, this is a new activity just designed for requesting budget revisions, amendments, or extensions. Budget acceptance. This is something we normally do during the PMC meeting. If you can verify now that you are, when you've reviewed the contract, you've signed it, and you know as the budget stands and you accept that, will you just give me a thumbs up or unmute yourself and agree to that? And I can submit the activity for us.
Sure, but I mean, I guess the hard part for us is, A, we weren't really given more than a couple of days to review the contract. Two, like the contract really ignores the broader context for this grant, which is that it's a contribution to a voluntary master planning effort, not something that is required by state law, and certainly not the only amount of funds that are going to support our strike force and our master planning effort. So, I mean, I guess I can just ignore all that, but I mean, that's been you know, this is the grant that Commissioner told us to apply for. So, I mean, I don't know. I'll just put that on the record. I guess we'll just do the best we can within the confines of the grant, but it's, you know, you're not paying $25,000 for a master plan. That's required under state law, which is what the contract says.
Does that
Amy?
mean you agree to the budget that is listed in the grant contract?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we signed the contract.
Thank you.
I just think, you know, well, okay, well, we'll just ignore the fact that there's still like it's not like a whatever. Okay, we'll just move on.
Okay.
You want me to acknowledge that I signed the contract, but I guess I was looking for some acknowledgement that this is a volunteer plan that doesn't need to conform to TCA.
All right, for the contract review,
Okay.
this activity is not yet in use, but it is designed for tracking the contract document during execution. The statement of understanding is also an activity that we complete during the PMC meeting. It just states the following. That's intended to allow the grantee to ask any questions about the following contract requirements, which are that you understand that inactivity for 6+ months will result in loss of funding. Project delays must be submitted to the state in writing. Written approval must be obtained to enter subcontracts. Expenses are only eligible after contract execution and state approval, and then official communication should occur between only authorized representatives. Do you understand and agree to all of those terms?
Sure, I don't have an option since y'all aren't even going to acknowledge my questions on this call. I'll just follow up with Amy afterwards. I just want to get through this call because I don't feel like I'm getting much interaction.
No, I mean, I can speak up to the fact that, yeah, this is one grant for solid waste planning that had a certain amount of money set aside. It was meant to complement the waste characterization study. So, it was a smaller grant, obviously, than that one was. It was meant to complement it. And yeah, I know that what you're doing with this solid waste strike force is definitely a larger effort than what a lot of the other counties and solid waste regions are doing with this particular grant. So yeah, this is definitely a smaller part of the larger effort that you're doing. So
Well, but we're not a planning region and we're not a county, so
yes,
we're
yeah,
not required to
I
do a
know.
solid waste plan. We're
Agreed.
also not doing waste characterization studies, so
Yeah, yeah,
we're doing a needs assessment under the technical assistance
yeah,
contract. So,
yeah.
okay.
Agreed. Yeah. So yeah,
All
I
right.
definitely acknowledge that. Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Subcontracts. This is just the activity to enter a subcontract. The grantee must provide the following information when submitting it. We need the subcontract, the amount of the subcontract, an unsigned subcontract, and the debarment status verification if applicable. After receiving state approval, then the grantee shall deliver a signed subcontract to the state by uploading it into GMS. Procurement activities. If you need to request to purchase equipment or materials, this will be the activity to use. You must upload the following as it applies, which is bids or quotes that were received, the letter of recommendation, bid advertisement or notice, and the lowest bid being signed and dated by the supplier. You must complete the bid quote summary worksheet and the debarment status verification if applicable. Request for grant reimbursement. This is all included in the grant funding, and it shall include the expenditure report, the invoices and proofs of payment, the remit address, specified dates of service, and certification by organization authorized individual. The grantee must also specify accrued liability payment status and final reimbursement status. The deadline to submit this is December 31st of 2024. The materials management inspection form and used oil inspection form is not relative for this grant contract. Request inspection isn't either. And then the accrued liabilities activity. This is the activity that is created and submitted to report funds that need to be accrued into the upcoming fiscal year. Any goods or services in the amount of $2,000 or more that has not yet been reimbursed by June 30th and has been acquired by the grantee. The grantees must complete the accrued liability tab as well as the reimbursement tab for the amount that needs to be accrued. Failure to do so will result in the grant reimbursement being denied. If you don't accrue it, the state cannot pay. Quarterly reporting. This is due every quarter. We have March 31st. The June 30th is waived due to the accrued liability reporting, September 30th, and December 31st. The grantee shall submit the most accurate status update and may provide additional comments as it applies. An upload button is provided in the event that it is needed. And the audit activity, this is something that is sent to us and then we upload it into this audit. So you do not have to worry about this tab either. All right. If you have any questions regarding the GMS system or having issues navigating or troubleshooting, you can reach out to TDEC Grants and they can assist you there. We also request that you CC grant staff so we are aware of any issues you may be experiencing and we can assist you there too. Some of our grant administration contacts are as provided. Here on these slides, we have Convene, Tatiana, myself. You know, Amy, Trey is on military leave, and David, Christina. and Ryan will soon be on military leave also, and then we have Lydia also. All right, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sorry we were having troubles on connecting
No
at 1
problem.
o'clock.
You're sending the slides and recording.
Yes. We'll get that to you.
All right. Thanks a bunch.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
See y'all.
Vivian.
Yes, sorry. The recording
Oh.
hasn't stopped. Leave.